Jeff Bezos is the single richest person in modern history, and his company Amazon was the second company in history to reach a market cap of $1 trillion. He went from being the son of a 17-year-old high school student and Cuban immigrant stepfather to now having a net worth of $143.4 billion. And today we're going to learn his best advice on how you could be good at storytelling. Rise and shine, it's Entspresso time!
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and every morning I bring you a shot of Entspresso to help you believe in yourself more and start your day with confidence. So good morning, I believe in you, and let's do this. Over to you, Jeff Bezos.
I think this is a golden age of television. So when you look at, TV series today, the really good TV series are, in terms of quality, they're as good as the very best movies have ever been. And you're getting the best storytellers to come do television. You're getting the best actors to now come do television. One of the great storytellers is right here. Thank you for the help.
Thank you.
And this is a big deal when you can get the very best people, because this is one of those businesses where the viewer is always looking for something a little fresh, and so you can never find a formula, because as soon as you find a formula, it's not fresh anymore. They're always looking for something a little new. So it really takes human ingenuity. It takes people. The storytellers have to be in touch with the zeitgeist. And what I want Amazon Studios to be all over the world, I want us to be known as the most talent-friendly studio in the world. And the reason you need to do that, thank you, is because at the end of the day, it is the talent that makes those stories. Storytelling is the oldest thing that humans do. We've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years. Long before there was written language, before there was any medium to convey it, people sat around and they told each other stories. And it's how we teach each other things. And we learn from stories. We learn from fiction. We learn from fiction because we get to live an alternate life. In that moment, you watch this and you're learning it. So it can be fun, it can be action, it can be funny, it can be comedy. But the very best things take those elements and teach a little something. There's something in there that you walk away with and you're inspired by it. And it doesn't matter if it's drama, comedy, anything, you're going to walk away with something. And there needs to be lightness. You can't watch something that's just all heavy and you're like, oh my God, I want to kill myself now. There also has to be that gesture. There has to be somebody who brings you out and lets you breathe a little bit. So this is so hard to do. That's why there is so many bad movies and so many bad TV shows, because it is one of the hardest things that humans do, is tell riveting, engaging, inspiring stories. But when you get it right, it's a lever that can change the world.
People connect with people. The greatest asset you have is you. Your who and your why are unique. That's what makes you you. And since people connect with people, you need to share your story so that your ideal target persona will connect with you. I need to know that you understand me. It's easy for people to give advice. Everybody has an opinion on what others should do. Why are you any different? Why should I listen to you? You don't know what I'm going through, except you do. Because you went through the exact same thing. But unless you tell me what you went through, I'm not going to listen. If I don't feel like you understand me, that you're just like me, I'm tuning out. There's a great story in this book, Built to Serve, about Michael Edwards. And Michael is a guy I met on my tour last year in one of the first cities on my 90-day, 23-city tour. And he was telling me the story about his concussions. And he's been through 4 or 5 different concussions and how he overcame them. And I felt one, really bad for him. But then also like, man, this guy kept getting up and kept doing it and kept living and eventually healed himself. And he said through meditation, he healed himself. He got rid of his concussions. And we did a great video together. But I didn't really process it that much because I didn't have concussions. I'd never been through one. Wasn't planning on going through one. And so I love telling the story, but it didn't really relate to anything in my life necessarily, besides it being inspirational that he went through all these hardships. Well, fast forward a month or so later, and I got my first concussion. I was in Colorado. I was doing some biohacking and I had a weak stomach. I've always had a weak stomach, and I fainted. I passed out in my chair. I fainted, hit my head on the drywall, and then slid down and slammed the back of my head here on the baseboards. Sliced open my head, had to get staples, broke my neck in 2 spots, compressed my spine, and had a concussion. I get rushed to the hospital, kind of barely processing things. I've never had a concussion, and I get a lot of pride and satisfaction and just joy of being able to think. And so not being able to use my brain was not something that I was used to, and I really didn't like it. I could deal with the physical pain of my neck being broken in 2 spots. I could deal with the frustration, not being able to move and everything hurting, but not being able to think clearly, really, I had a really hard time with it. I couldn't look at my phone for more than a couple minutes because the brightness of the screen, if you haven't been through a concussion, the brightness of the screen was really killing me. I remembered Michael Edwards, the guy I met last month who had been through 4 concussions. And he actually DM'd me on Instagram, and my DMs were blowing up because people saw this and like, are you okay? How can I help? And mostly just best wishes, and everybody giving me their opinions on what I should do. You should read this book. You should drink this tea. You should meditate. You should take this supplement. You should walk outside and take vitamin D. You should do all this different stuff. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know who to listen to because everybody's giving me advice, but I don't know their story. So if you haven't been through it, I'm automatically lumping you into, well, you don't know what I'm going through. I'm struggling on this. But I remembered Michael Edwards, and I remember he did it 4 times. He's been through this multiple times. And when I saw his DM, the first thing he did was gave me a set of meditations to go through and a link to a YouTube video that had binaural beats. And I've tried meditation a whole bunch of times throughout my life with all sorts of different teachers, from everyday people up to Sadhguru teaching me how to meditate. And none of it really stuck. But here was his advice: meditate to this binaural beats audio soundtrack. I said, I'll do it. And at that time, Michael Edwards became one of the most important people in my life, and definitely on my phone. So if I only had 5 minutes on Instagram before my eyes would blur out, I'd go first to see, did Michael Edwards send me a new message? Because I knew his story. Now, it ended up actually really helping me. The concussion went away relatively quickly. Within a week, I was already doing full seminars again. The pain of my broken neck was a whole other story. That took 2 months to get rid of my neck brace on, and then more healing and physio and all that stuff. But the concussion, getting rid of that, came super quick. And maybe I'm just a fast healer, or I appreciate the wisdom, help, perspective of Michael. But if I didn't know his story, I wouldn't have listened to him. If I didn't know his story and that he went through it 4 times, when this guy sends me a DM saying, listen to these binaural beats and do this meditation, I'm going to write it off because this guy doesn't get what I'm going through. That's the importance of telling your story. That's the importance of sharing what you went through and how you came out of it. That's why I talk about in Built to Serve, finding your who, your why, your how. Because you're built to serve, because you want to help. But the desire to help, before people will listen to you, they have to know that you are like them and that you've been through the same thing that they went through. That gives you the permission. All you want to do is teach and serve. The message won't land that people don't know that you are like them, that you're not some perfect person, that you went through the same thing that they are going through right now. That gives you the permission to then give the advice. You have to share your story. Now, I've got a 3-step process I'm going to walk you through of how to share your story that I think will be really helpful. But before that, if you want to have more self-love, unstoppable confidence, and learn from billionaires, check out my 254 series. It's free. The link to join is in the description below.
If everything has to work in 2 to 3 years, then that limits what you can do. If you absolutely can't tolerate critics, then don't do anything new or interesting. The number one thing that has made us successful by far is obsessive, compulsive focus on the customer.
Okay, so how do we do it? How do we share our story? How do we connect with people so that they will listen to our gold advice? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is understand that your purpose comes from your pain. That whatever you struggled with as a human is the thing that you want to help other people through. You might not be done, right? You might still be in pain. You might still be suffering. You might still be on your path. That's great. You're growing. You want to learn. You want to keep getting better. But you're better off than you used to be. Think back to your most painful moment. Think back to when you struggled the most as a human and what you had to go through and the feelings of self-doubt and worthiness and all of that and feeling not good enough, like the worst moment in your life, and understand that there's lots of people right now who currently are facing that pain and they need help. And they're not very often willing to even listen to help. Think about who you used to be. Who you used to be wouldn't be watching a video like this. Doesn't want to talk to an Evan Carmichael. Doesn't want to hear from a Jeff Bezos. Oh, he's a billionaire. He doesn't understand me. Your job is to connect to that person because you used to be that person. And by showing the pain that you went through and taking me into that deepest, darkest, most painful moment is the thing that will give you the permission, have the attention, have the authority, have the respect of the person that you're dealing with to say, maybe I don't have to be stuck. Maybe I don't have to stay here. If this person got through it, maybe I can too. Your purpose comes from your pain, and sharing your story gives them the hope that it's possible for them as well. Number 2 is the recipe for success. And one of the things I talk about in Built to Serve is you find your recipe for success, which is how did you get out of the pain that you were in? So when I talked to Michael Edwards about how to get out of my concussions, like what did you do to get out of your concussions? And he tried a whole bunch of things and a lot of things that didn't work and a lot of things that made it even worse. I said, well, what actually worked for you? Send me the video, right? He said, well, meditating to a YouTube video. Send me the best video. Send me the one that worked. And it helped, right? And I started doing it. You have probably tried so many different ways to get out of the hole that you're in. So many different things that didn't work, and trainings and teachings and practices, and you thought each time this has to be the one, and then it didn't work, and again it didn't work, and again it didn't work, and then finally you found something that actually worked. Finally you found that thing. That's teachable. This is where your purpose is really going to light you up, because you can shortcut somebody's path. It may have taken you a year, 5 years, 10 years to get out of the hole you were in. With your help, with your guidance and your heart, you can help somebody get out of that hole way faster. That's your recipe for success. So for me, it was modeling success, right? Studying successful people, understanding what worked for them, applying it to my business. It saved my first company, and now that's what I teach to other people. That's why we have Jeff Bezos here on this channel, trying to share wisdom, information from people who've done great things, and hopefully you can learn a little bit from them, apply it to your situation, and make your business and your life better. So what is your recipe for success? What were the 3 things, 5 things, 8 things that you did that actually did work? And then start teaching people how they can do it too, so that the many people who are struggling with that thing right now actually have some hope and inspiration. And then step number 3 is remind yourself that you're a tree. So you're a tree is a concept that I put into Built to Serve, where I see entrepreneurs, I see leaders as trees. What does a tree do? A tree breathes in all the carbon dioxide, which too much of for humans is poison. So you're breathing in this poison. What do they do with it then? The tree eats it, eats the poison, grows from it, gets stronger, and then spits out oxygen, positivity for the world. That's what I see your job being as a leader, as an entrepreneur. You're going to breathe in the hate. You're going to breathe in the negativity. You're going to breathe in other people's judgments and opinions. You're going to grow stronger from it. And then as you go through your experiences, you're going to spit out positivity for the world, for the people around you. Either in a really big way or even just your local community. You're going to be a source of positivity, optimism, hope, and belief. Why I say that is because at the beginning, a lot of people are afraid to share their story. They're afraid of how they're going to look. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of, well, I was a normal person yesterday and now I'm this person who went through that. You're afraid to share it. You have to share it, because your silence on it perpetuates everybody else's silence. Your fear of sharing the story means that it's okay to be afraid to share the story. Your willingness to come and share the story will be an inspiration to other people to feel like I'm not alone. You have to lead from the front. And it doesn't mean you have to throw somebody under the bus, right? Sometimes in my stories, I'll change the gender of the person, I'll change the relationship, because it doesn't really matter if it involves somebody else who that person was. What matters is how you felt about it and what happened. So you can always change some of the details around as long as the core is right, because you're trying to protect somebody's name. But reminding yourself that you're a tree, that this is how you become a leader, that you do difficult things, that you will take people's judgments, eat it, grow from it, and then be the source of inspiration for other people who currently are like you, who are struggling, who need a leader, who need someone to look up to, who need somebody to tell them it's okay what you've got, it's okay what happened to you, it's okay. And you can still end up in a better place. You have to be the tree. Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what is your single biggest takeaway from this video, and what are you going to do this week to take action on it? Put it down in the comments below. When you schedule in what day, what time, what place you're gonna take action on your idea, you are 91% likely going to actually follow through, versus just 35% likely to follow through when you got motivated but had no plan. And when you share your plan and have public accountability, you raise your chances of following through even more. So right now, in the comments below, share your single biggest takeaway and your plan of action for the following week. Put it down below so I can celebrate with you.
It's just our fortune and misfortune as a species that we think in stories. So if you want to make a point, you have to take the messiness of reality and cast it as a story, otherwise people don't understand. And we have now all these discussions about, for example, climate change, that how to make the general public understand what is happening, what is the enormity of the crisis we are facing, what is the evidence supporting it, what should we do? And the problem is that scientists, including climate scientists, they think in facts, in numbers, in statistics, in equations, in graphs, all the things that make most people fall asleep, right, or just not get it. If you really want to make the public understand climate change, you need a story. My perception is that in the end, the economists and the engineers and the soldiers, they are very often just working to realize something that came up in the mind of some poet. And this is also why I think there is a huge responsibility on the shoulders of poets and screenwriters and actors and artists, that you think that, we just entertain people. But this is not the case. It goes much, much more deeply. It provides the kind of scaffolding for people to make sense of their individual lives and of their collective lives. And good stories create a very good world, and problematic stories create a very problematic world. And the human ability to create fictions, on the one hand, is responsible for all our amazing achievements as a species, but also to so much harm that we have done to ourselves and that we have done to other animals. That, as far as we know, I would say one of the main differences, as far as we know, between us and the other animals, that they can't create these kinds of fictions. But their lives and death is often determined by the stories that this particular ape species is able to tell and believe.
If you want to change your life in 30 days, check out my free training right here below. Or if you want to learn how to be an amazing leader like Jeff Bezos, check out my video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe. I'll see you there.